So once again we find ourselves at the end of yet another week, and on this channel that can only mean one thing. Every week I turn to you, the viewers, to submit your hottest takes of the week from the NBA world, and then I select my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video series called Your Take Not Mine. This week in particular, we saw some huge game changers happen, so we definitely have a lot to talk about, making for a quite interesting episode. In order to get your take featured in videos like this, I make a community post in the morning before the video drops that looks like the one you see on your screen now, so be sure to stay on the lookout in the future if you want a chance to be included. Before we start though, it turns out about 67% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing comes to us from Panda, and he says that despite the Nets trading for James Harden, the Lakers are actually still the favorites to win back-to-back championships this year. So as we've all definitely heard by now, James Harden got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, and now that he's playing alongside stars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, many people reasonably view them as the new favorites to win the championship this year. But things are obviously not that simple, and there's a lot more to it. As Panda said, the Lakers are still the defending champions, they currently have the best record in the NBA, they added a lot of new talent to their roster this offseason as well, and still look as good as ever, so dethroning them will be no easy task. On paper, the Nets definitely look incredibly dangerous, but as we saw with the Clippers last season, talent alone is not enough. The Lakers demonstrated how important team chemistry is, having good role players that buy into their roles alongside the stars is also key, and most importantly, you need to be a strong team on both sides of the ball. The Nets have all sorts of firepower offensively, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit concerned about their defense at this point in time. In the Harden trade, they shipped out promising young rim protector Jarrett Allen, leaving them with only an old DeAndre Jordan to protect the middle, and the team's perimeter defense leaves a lot to be desired. Obviously, it's way too early to be making definitive claims about this topic, but it's definitely reasonable to still view the Lakers as the favorites to win it all this year. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Bonnie, and they say that Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic are the two players leading the MVP discussions at this point in time. So far this season, Jokic and Curry have undeniably been having some impressive seasons, but so have quite a few other players, so in that regard, I'm not quite sure. Jokic is currently averaging an absurd triple-double, which is unheard of for a center, and his playmaking has taken yet another leap to where he's now being fully unleashed, making plays for those around him at a truly elite level. Curry got off to a slow start on the season, but since, he's turned his play around and is also having a tremendous year leading this new-look Warriors team. But what holds both of them back from being true frontrunners for the MVP award right now is the fact that the MVP typically goes to players leading the best teams, and both the Nuggets and Warriors are sitting with 500 records at the moment. Right now, I would lean more towards players like LeBron James leading the best team in the league, and Joel Embiid leading the Sixers to a top record in the East as my frontrunners for the award, but Curry and Jokic are definitely in the conversation at this point in time. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Rance, and he says that Payton Pritchard of the Boston Celtics is a top 5 rookie in this year's draft class. There are a lot of rookies impressing this season from the 2020 draft, but particularly in the case of the Celtics, they feel as though they got a big-time steal in Payton Pritchard, who they found at the end of the first round. Pritchard slowly eased his way into the rotation, and as time has gone on, he's looked more and more comfortable playing in the NBA, and his production and performances have all been more and more impressive with each passing game. He's given the Celtics a solid secondary playmaker, he's a highly efficient shooter and overall scorer of the ball, shooting 50% from the field and 44% from 3 so far, And he's even hit a game winner for the team already to add to his stature as a fan favorite. With all of this said though, claiming he's a top 5 rookie in the class is still pretty bold, and I probably wouldn't have him that high. Players like Tyrese Halliburton, James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Edwards, amongst others, I still view as better players both in the short and long term past this season, and others who are having slower starts to their careers also still probably have more potential to develop down the line. Pritchard came in NBA ready due to the fact that he was a 4-year college player who's already 22 years old as a rookie, but needless to say, he's still been one of the best rookies this season and is looking to have been one of the biggest steals in the draft. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Sean, and he says that Luka Doncic doesn't get enough criticism for his inconsistent three-point shooting. Ever since Luka's rookie season, he's been on a path to greatness faster than we've seen in quite some time, so naturally most fans of the game have been amazed with everything he does well at such a young age. The fact that he's averaging 28 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds per game, and carrying such a large offensive load already surpasses what anybody could have reasonably expected from him, and as a result, he's been pegged by most as the next big thing in the NBA. Because of this hype, sure, admittedly people have been more willing to look past some of his flaws in order to focus on everything he does so well, but that's completely expected and normal regarding an exciting new superstar on the rise. With that said though, it is also concerning that Luka's three-point shooting seems to be regressing instead of improving. He's capable of knocking down difficult shots as well as anyone in the league is, but his consistency from the perimeter just isn't where it needs to be. His rookie season he shot about 33% from 3, then last year he shot 32% from 3, and now this year he's only making 26% of his shots from beyond the arc, decreasing every season. This is something he's going to need to improve upon because numbers like that are pretty poor for someone as talented and capable as he is. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Nick, and he says that Pascal Siakam gets way too much hate and should still be considered a top player. After starting the season slow and then recently missing 2 potential game-winning shots on national television, the Siakam slander was at an all-time high, and I agree it did get a bit overboard. Siakam in recent weeks has been playing much better individually, even with those 2 unfortunate late-game moments, and overall, he is still a very good player. However, what you define as a top player is where this discussion about the take lies. Siakam is probably a fringe all-star talent who belongs in any top 25 players list in the NBA, but at the same time, he's probably not an ideal number 1 option for a contending team. And we're seeing that with the Raptors' recent struggles. It's a weird predicament because I agree people do tend to over-exaggerate his struggles, and he definitely is still one of the top players in the league, comparatively. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the topics discussed in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.